in the morning. So the heaven this morning, the temperature was still there. But it was, the coffee had subsided some. And I thank God for allowing me another chance to stand, just to stand. Because he is so good to us. No matter what, he is still good. No matter how many gone on home already this year, God is still good. He is still good. We honor the Lord this morning. To all of the ministers of the gospel united in the audience, and to the deacons, the mothers, the deacons' wives, the ministers' wives, and to all of you that are here this morning. It's so good just to be here. Just to be here. On this side of Jordan. He's been mighty, 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 mighty good to us. And I thank him for all of that. Not going to stand long. We are going to go to the 20th chapter of Acts. Just pray for me. Acts, the 20th chapter. And in your leisure time, you can read that whole chapter. And we're going to be reading verses 10, 11, and 12. When you have it, would you please stand? Are we there? Acts 20 chapter, beginning at verse number 10. And Paul went down and fell on him, and embracing him, said, trouble not yourself, for his life is in him. When he therefore was come up again, and had broken bread and eaten, and taught a long while, even till break of day. So he departed. Verse 12 says, and they brought the young man alive, and were not a little comforted. And my subject this morning is going to be Christian troops eating together. Christian troops eating together. There is an old saying, an army marches on its stomach. What that means is, if any army doesn't feel its men, it's not going anywhere.
That's right.
Without food, and troops eventually cannot march. They can't maneuver, and they cannot fight. So one of the logical problems for armies has always been, where do we get the food to feed your men? Back in World War II, one of the ways of the U.S. tribes solving this issue was called K-rations. They were about 900 calories, meals packed into a handy little boxes. There was a breakfast unit where we might get canned chopped ham and eggs, or veal loaf, biscuits, a dried fruit bar, a cereal bar, water purification tablets, even if you smoke, there were some cigarettes in there, chewing gum, instant coffee, and sugar. Then, number 2, there was the dinner unit, which could have processed ham and cheese, biscuit, milk, tablets, 5 caramels, sugar, a salt pack, also cigarettes again, chewing gum, and a powered beverage. And the separate unit often would have canned meat such as Spam, with a carrot, an apple, biscuits, a 2-ounce chocolate bar, a pack of toilet paper tissue, the cigarettes again, chewing gum, and a bouillon soup cube. An army marches on its stomach. Food food is an indispensable need for soldiers and combat. And as you might imagine, God knows that. Then in 2 Timothy 2:3, he tells Christians to endure hardship with us, like a good soldier of Christ Jesus. We are soldiers of Christ, a spiritual army deployed by the God of contending with evil. In Ephesians 6:11, we are told to put on the whole armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devils and the shines. So we are soldiers. Amen. And we are at war. And we need to eat. What are we going to eat? Well, Jesus has supplied a very special meal for us. It's called communion, or the Lord's Supper. The early church took this seriously. Acts 2:42 tells us that when the church first began, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship and the breaking of bread, communion, and to pray. And then in Acts 27, we are told on the first day of the week, we come together to break bread. A Christian leader around 150 AD named Justin wrote that on Sunday, a meeting is held at all who live in the cities and villages. And at the close of that meeting, they focus on the bread and the wine. And thanks for them according to his ability, and the congregation answered, Amen. Then the concentrated elements are distributed to each one and put them off, are carried by the deacons to the houses of the absent. Every Sunday, the church took communion. In fact, here in Acts 20, we are told that the reason that they were at church was to break bread. Paul was there. He was a very famous evangelist. And I'm sure everybody wanted to hear him. But Paul was not the reason that they had the gathering. They had gathered together to take the Lord's Supper. Paul was in after dinner treat, if you will, but the main event was communion. But why was the meal so important? Why would they make it main focus in going to church? Well, there are two reasons I can think of. Now, one is when you take communion, you are sitting down with Jesus. Amen. Every time you take communion, Jesus is there. This is his table. And Jesus had promised, there are two or three gathered together in my name. I am there in the midst of them. Matthew 18:20. He is here every time we take communion. Secondly, the communion table is where you and I are reminded of our mission. In 1 Corinthians 11, Paul tells us on the night that he was betrayed, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, this is my body. This is for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way, at the supper, he took the cup, saying, this is a cup in the new covenant, in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. But whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until consider why we are here in the first place. Yes. On any given Sunday morning, the songs may not suit you. That's right. The person up here leading us in prayer may not be long and hard to follow. The sermon might be boring and put you to sleep. So that if you were in a window on the third story, you might fall out and die. But the bread and the cup will always declare the same message. Jesus died for you. He died for me. But yet, he rose again. As in 1 Timothy 1:15 declares, here is a trustworthy saying that deserves well acceptance. Christ Jesus come into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst. Communion reminds us that we are sinners and that we are not here to be entertained and catered to. We are here because Jesus died to forgive us for our sins and change our lives. And because of that, our mission is to tell everyone that we meet what Jesus means to us. In fact, do you know why the early Christians took communion on Sunday rather than worshiping on Saturday like the Jews did? What special thing had Jesus done on the first day of the week? He rose. From where? From the dead. In the Old Testament, God commanded Israel to celebrate on Saturday because he wanted them to remember his power in creation. But Christians in the New Testament celebrate on Sunday, the first day of the week, because God wanted his people to remember his power in the resurrection. And communion reinforces and reminds Christians of that power of Christ's death, burial, and resurrection every Sunday. The early church took communion every week because this was the most important part of their worship. This is why they gathered. It was almost as if they starved themselves spiritually if they missed a Sunday at the table. One of the things that the creator of the early cake ration didn't realize was that the 900-calorie meals were nearly enough to sustain 30 men in the midst of the battle zone. It wasn't bad for all the stroll in the park or doing drills in camp, but for serious marching and fighting, it wasn't nearly enough. Soldiers in battle were literally burning off more calories than they consumed, that they were going to hurt them over the long haul. And that's why our modern army has upped the calories of their MRE, meals ready to eat. Meals to 1,200 per package. The early church apparently felt that taking communion just once in a while wasn't going to supply them with enough spiritual calories to help them in the daily comfort. In a world filled with evil, as soldiers of Christ, they needed this meal every Sunday. Sometimes someone will ask the question, should I let my kids, my grandkids, take communion? I know it is very tempting, but as Baptists, you must be baptized member in the church. So can you give communion to the little children? Oh, I suppose you could. And in the communion until they have been water baptized. This meal is for the troops, for Christians. Little children don't really understand its importance and doesn't mean anything to them. It would probably be better to wait until they made the decision to become or to belong to Christ. Now there is one more thing that caught my attention here. It says that come together to break bread, Acts 27. There is a communion misconception that people don't need church to worship God. They view Christianity as something they can do all by themselves. A kind of a Lone Ranger religion that they can practice in the corner somewhere. Well, I think that's a lie.